What's up, everybody? I'm Caleb Ochoa, also known as NFL Caleb 22, and this is Betting NFL Week number 5. And as always, I'm here with my co-host Derek Weatherly, also known as DWeezy. What's going on, man?
Not much, just another week back at the grind, trying to shake off some of that bad juju from last week and get into some of these winning lines.
All right. No bad juju over here. I'm having some good luck so far through the first 4 weeks of the season. I stay winning as always, but we'll get into that eventually. Um, but before we get into our picks of this week, we have to go over what happened in last week. And I'll start off with I'll start off with saying what's up to my dad. What's going on? Thanks for tuning in. Um, I'll start off with the favorites, and they got a winning week, 10-5-1, pretty dominant over the underdogs there against the spread. But overall, it's pretty even. 30, 29-5. There's really no discernible difference between picking the favorites or the underdogs throughout the season, but definitely a good week for the favorites this past week. Home teams were good this week at a winning week 8-7-1, but overall have been pretty bad. 22, 33-5. The road teams have been edging out the home teams for most of the season. As far as the over and unders, the unders have been hitting. Again, this week, 7-9 go the 9 going to the unders. 29-35 overall, with the unders getting the edge there. So yeah, big for the it's been mainly the unders hitting. We did have that one week where the overs got it. I think that was week 2, but for the most part, um, you know, not as many points have been scored so far this season. So with that said, what do you any of those numbers stand out to you?
I do think we might see the favorites start to separate themselves a little bit, depending on some of the matchups, and also, we're starting to get into that time of year where these better teams are going to start to separate themselves from some of the lesser competition out there, and I think that's going to be reflected not only in some of the lines that we see, but some of the outcomes as well. Uh, the unders coming in, I do find interesting. I think we're seeing more. We're definitely seeing more running of the football than we've seen in the past previous years. Um, there was a lot of talk coming into the season that the running back position was devalued in certain instances as far as having more of that bell cow running back. Um, but it's clear, a number of the better teams that we see across the NFL right now, the Dolphins, the Eagles, the 49ers, the Ravens, all these teams are, going out there with strong running games. And not to say that they're relying solely on running games, but they're clearly having major success early in the season, running the ball and moving the ball along the ground. And, you know, it's a bit of an age old saying, but if they're running the ball, you can look at under coming in the game. And so, you know, especially in some of these instances with a team like Miami, where you might see them get a big lead and lean more on the running game to help bleed off some of that clock, even if we're, only halfway through the game or in an early third quarter situation. Um, you know, it still plays to, that philosophy that the under can come in because that clock's moving, the clock's ticking. You're not necessarily putting points up on the board. Even if, especially if a drive doesn't end in a score, whether it be touchdown or field goal, that can, go a long way in the possibility of an under coming in on a game. So I do think that the more usage of the running game is definitely having a little bit of a factor in these unders coming in so far this season. And I did see a trend. I don't have the stat in front of me, but in primetime games, the under has been coming in just in a massive way. So
Yeah.
um, there's a number of factors that could possibly go into that as well. But it's the unders are coming in this season.
Yep. I also wanted to, the one that stood out to me is the road teams being so heavily edging over the home team so far. And I kind of brought this you up last year and saying, does the home field advantage mean as much as it used to mean? Do you still, and you said you still think it does, but do you still like seeing these numbers? Do you still find that the home field advantage still should give you that 3 point edge or not?
I definitely think it's starting to become a more isolated thing. Because there's definitely some stadiums, some crowds that you do not want to have to deal with. The Kansas City Chiefs, a Seattle, hell, even a Cleveland, where Cleveland has not been a good team for many years, but going into that stadium that it's going to be a fairly packed house. That crowd is going to get wild. They're going to pretty much hate your guts as the other team. So, you know, and also other factors like travel conditions. I mean, originally when home field advantage and things like that, we're talking since beginning of sports and even up through the 90s and early 2000s, travel conditions and things of that nature weren't the greatest. I think that's been addressed more in the past quarter century or so. uh, so yes, it is very possible that home field advantage doesn't mean as much as it used to. I you know I think if you come across a team where they're trending at home, that's definitely something to pay attention to, because there's a number of factors that may have come into play, whether it just simply be them sleeping in their own beds and things of that nature that is working for that team. That doesn't mean it'll be true for every team, but you know in the betting world, you find a good trend, you ride with it. So, you know, could home field advantage not be what it was? Absolutely. But there could definitely still be instances where you might want to factor in that home field advantage.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Definitely think so when it's a long travel across across the country, going from East Coast, West Coast. I think those type of factors still play into it. But just in general, if you're like more divisional games or just close nearby games, I don't know. I don't know if it means, like you said, I don't know if it means much. I think we've been seeing that in the numbers so far through the first part of the season that it's reflecting that the way teams it really the road teams have been getting covering a lot more than the home teams there. Um, I don't because I just don't think they've been adjusting for those factors. I think it's still the 3 points and the the road team's going to get the 3 points, so that's why I feel like they're covering a lot more.
And
Oh,
another example into how
so
teams are
Adelia.
addressing your road travel. I forget who it is. I know the Jaguars stayed overseas after the London game because they're playing in, I believe it's Germany this week. Um, but there was a team that was out on the West Coast this past week. It may have been, no, it wasn't Giants. They were playing at home. But either way, they decided to stay out on the West Coast for the entirety of the week. And this isn't the first time we've seen an occurrence like this. It's definitely come
Yeah.
about more and more, I think, in the past 5, 10 years, uh, because of things like trying to eliminate that possible strain of travel and, keep your players fresh, keep them in a good mindset, because whether we talk in sports or a regular 9 to 5 job, your morale is going to factor into your work and your productivity and your mindset. And so, being able to maintain those things um, could definitely be factors in basically limiting what that home field advantage used to be.
All right. Now we'll get into the biggest upset of the week. And that came in the Buccaneers plus 4.5 versus the New Orleans Saints. Bucks win it 26-9. Um, I was just all over this game. I said it quick. I didn't hesitate going with Baker Mayfield once again. with this one because I just knew I didn't know why the I didn't think the Bucks should be that big underdogs in this game. Had a hurt Derek Carr going into this game. He didn't look good. He didn't look healthy. He played pretty awful. Um, and the Bucks just they obviously they were coming up off a bad loss against the Eagles. But I didn't think they were that team. I thought they were the team that played really well in the first 2 weeks of the season. And that's why I love them in this situation. I thought they were going to play, get back to what they were, and that's exactly what they did. Baker Mayfield has been looking been playing pretty well, and he played well in this game. And the Saints offense just can't score points. They haven't been able to all season, and that definitely showed up in this game. But what do you think about Bucks Saints?
Um, I do have to say I've been a little surprised how well their offense has been able to do. They were definitely in a situation where you're going up against a bad team, regardless if you're a good team or a bad team. Those are situations you've got to take advantage of. As you said, Carr was not healthy coming into this game. Um, for whatever reason, this team has not been able to figure out how to move the ball and score. And this is, you know, I believe there's some wraparound from last season. So, given the way this team is playing, coming into the season, I was very low on the Saints. I may have been, I may have been off about the Bucks. I wasn't big on the Bucks either, but there was a lot of people out there, especially on some of these big networks, talking about how the Saints were going to be this maybe not great team, but a really good team. They were going to go out there and be this nine,
Yeah, they
10 win
definitely look
team.
like the
They were going
favorite
to
to win the
win the
division.
division. Yeah. And so looking at this team as what we see now, I mean, there is nothing about this team that I would look at and want to point to as something that's going in their favor or going well. And I think that says a lot to just how bad a situation things are getting in New Orleans with that team.
All right, we'll get to the bad beat of the week, and that came in the Las Vegas Raiders plus 6.5 at the Los Angeles Chargers. Raiders lose 24-17. And if you bet the Raiders plus the 6.5, it was a killer, man. It was definitely a killer for you. Raiders were down 7 with just a little over 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter. They get all the way down the field. They're in the red zone. They're at the Chargers 3 yard line. And then what happens? Connell throws that interception right to Asante Samuel, and that's pretty much the game. And then it's just a killer. I mean, you have the win right there. You have it. You're 3 yards away from covering, not just covering the spread. You're going to outright win the game, and then you get that unfortunate interception happens, and you miss out. You lose. You don't cover by just a half point right there, and that's a killer, and that's why it's the bad beat of the week.
Well, I definitely have a part two to add along with that, because anybody that was watching the Kansas City New York Jets game, you saw the slide heard around the world at this point, because sports books across America, across the globe, if you had action on this game, that slide single-handedly probably
Oh yeah.
took you from winning to losing, took books from cashing money to shelling out money, just open space, open field, nothing but end zone. He gets that first down and slides down at the 1.5 yard line. And just to rub it in a little bit more, the pose as he comes up, like he knew, hey, sportsbooks, I got you.
Yeah, the reason why I didn't have that one as it seemed to be a struggle the whole time. So I don't know if I don't know if they were expected to get that last touchdown or not, to drive all the way down to win it like that. Um, that's the only reason why I kept it from not being the bad week. But yeah, that is a killer. You were about to cover, and then he just slides down. But you probably should. I don't really think you were expecting to, after how the game was going through most of the game, kind of keep the Jets were keeping it close. So, and it was a big point spread. So if you thought you were going to cover just because that happened, I mean, then I don't think you were as hurt by that one. But okay, we'll get to my picks of the week, and my record was damn good. I mean, again, I have another winning week, 3-2. Third, 3 out of 4 weeks been winning overall, and I'm hitting at a 60%, which is if you know what professionals bettors hit, that's pretty damn good. So far, the best pick was unfortunately for you, it was the Vikings -4 at the Carolina Panthers, and Vikings winning 21-13. And I was for both the games that were 0-3 teams, I picked both those games. And like I said, someone had to win those games. I was just on the right side of each of those games. Because it was kind of obvious to me that you kind of just picked the best offense with a better quarterback in those games, and you were probably going to end up on the right side of those things. And that's just what happened here. I picked the better offense, picked the better team that was going to score points, as shown that they scored points in the previous weeks. They just couldn't hold on to the football. That's the reason why they lost. And then the Panthers on the other side just couldn't score points. They haven't been able to, and I thought that was a pretty easy pick there. So yeah, that was my best pick. What about you? How'd you do?
Yeah, I gotta say, I was riding with you on the Vikings minus at 4. That spread probably should have been bigger, though. Kind of hard to value the Vikings that high, even in that matchup. Um, the game seemed close for the most part, but if you were watching it, that Panthers offense has been struggling to move the ball downfield. Uh, the defense was able to hold up for a large portion of the game, but unfortunately, it was the secondary that was letting them down. And against the Vikings, if you can't stop that pass game, you're gonna have a struggle keeping them out of the win column. Uh, and like you said, that -4, they covered that fairly easy. I think up until the game was slightly in reach up until the Bryce Young fumble that resulted in a touchdown for the defense for the Minnesota Vikings, and that really sealed the deal on the game. I think if they'd have possibly been able to put up some points there, the potential for the Panthers to win or even cover the spread would have definitely been on the board. But to have that, that shift in potential points going from a potential +3, +6 for the Panthers to the Vikings putting up another 6-7 points, definitely really kind of sealed the deal on that game.
All right. How'd you do overall?
Overall, I went 2-3 that Vikings game, and Seattle. I guess I could put the Seattle game up there as great pick, best pick of the week. Was able to get it at a pick 'em. I think the line moved a little bit in Seattle's favor by the time the game rolled around, but at no point, if you were holding if you were back in Seattle in this game, uh, up until that Daniel Jones 97 interception pick 6. The game it was fairly close. I won't say that maybe the Giants would have won it if they'd been able to get points up there, but it would have definitely kept the game in range. And that pick, I don't think anybody's figured out what Daniel Jones was looking at yet. But that just ultimately sealed the game for the New York Giants and made it a very easy cover for just about any pregame spread on this game. Because whether you had it at pick'em or minus a couple points, Seattle basically blew the Giants out of the water, and you were riding easy for the majority of the game.
All right. We talked about the good, so we got to talk about the bad. And my worst pick had to be the Steelers -3 at the Texans. They lose it 30-6, and this was rough. And not just because the score was really bad. It was just because I originally did have the Houston Texans. I had picked the Houston Texans. I had written it down. But then I switched it when I realized I just had like so many underdogs. Um, I had picked so many underdogs. It was basically all underdogs I was picking, and I was like, one of these has to switch. I had to switch to a favorite, just for that reason. And yeah, that was a bad decision. I probably should have just stuck with what I had, and I would have got this one right. So that just really that one really kills me. Yeah, Steelers just have no offense. Pickett looks terrible. You know, like we said, CJ Stroud looks very good in his first 4 games of his career, and he has a great connection with Nico Collins, just killing it. He had 7 receptions, under 60 yards, 2 touchdowns, really good there. Good stuff from their offense. They seem like they have their stuff together. So, but the Steelers just a complete mess. And I thought after a couple, getting those wins, that win that they would do better, but nope, that was not the case.
Yes, the Steelers definitely seem to have lost any and all momentum they had from the previous weeks coming into that game. Um, I was riding right there with you and hate myself just as badly for taking the Steelers. I at minimum I expected a closer game, if nothing more, because of the Steelers' defense, and clearly that did not occur. I think we're seeing, a little bit of that freedom down in Houston, a carefree mindset because Houston was expected to be bad. If you go out there and be bad, nobody's going to care. So don't care. Go out there, play free, play relaxed, and I think that's reflecting some of what we're seeing. It's definitely out of CJ Stroud. He's even, in the losses, seemed to, I won't necessarily say go as far as played well, but he doesn't seem to be getting rattled. He doesn't seem to letting a bad game carry over to another game. Because clearly this past Sunday he was going out there and lighting it up and doing everything he needed to, and so definitely a bad pick if you had the Steelers minus anything in this game because I'm pretty sure this game was over not long after the kickoff.
All right. That'll wrap up week number 4. But before we get into week 5, we like to help you guys out. If you guys can help us out by subscribing to the channel if you have not already. Um, Also hit the notification button so you can know when we go live for all the shows. We have a lot of shows on this channel, so hit that notification to get notified. Also, if you really want to help us out, you can join our Patreon. The link is in the description down below. That'd be really, really appreciated if you can do those things. And also, at the minimum, just hit the like button. Just hit the like button, and that would also help out as well. So now we will get into our week 5 bets. And I'll let you go first. And you give
All right. Well, I'm gonna kick it off going right back to those same Houston Texans. They're taking on the Atlanta Falcons. Now, the Falcons have been horrible against the spread this season. And while Houston has not, has been 50-50 through 4 weeks, 2-2 against the spread, I think last week was a great example, not only of what their offense can do, but what their defense can do. And against this Atlanta Falcons team, if you can stop the run, you'll stop the Atlanta Falcons. Desmond Ritter has not been able to produce much through the passing game, thus limiting what we've seen out of Drake London and Kyle Pitts. Now, Bijan Robinson has been everything that he was advertised to be, but I do think that this Houston's defense will be able to stifle them. And on the flip side of that, I do not think that the Falcons defense will be able to keep up with this Houston offense, who currently through 4 weeks finds themselves as the 10th best offense as far as yardage and almost 370 yards a game. So coming in, with all that said, a very or underdog in this game plus 1.5. I think they should be the favorite, riding with the Houston Texans to win against the Atlanta Falcons.
Well, we're in agreement there. This is my first pick and first bet as well. Picking the Texans +2 on the road in Atlanta. Yeah, pretty much for all the reasons you said. The Texans seem to get their offense going. They've scored 30 points or more in their last 3 games. CJ Stroud's been playing well, but also on defense, they've been playing well. They held their opponent, the last two opponents, to under 20 points. Falcons, on the other hand, really bad on offense. They haven't scored more than 7 points in the last 2 games. Ritter looks just lost out there. He threw 2 picks in the game against the Jags, just playing pretty bad. And like you said, you brought up how bad the Falcons are against the spread. Well, they are 4-11 in their last 15 games. They are terrible covering against the spread. Do not pick them to cover because you're just going to lose your money. So you got to be on the Texans on this side. Honestly, the Texans probably should be favored in this game, even though they are the road team, just for the fact that Falcons can't cover a game to save their lives. So, yeah, definitely on the Texans with you.
Going into my next pick, I'm not sure. I think I've backed this team every week so far, and I'm going to be going back to them because against the spread, 3-1, Miami Dolphins as they take on the New York Giants, who are currently 0-4 against the spread. I mean, we saw just how ugly the Giants were against the Seattle Seahawks. They have not been able to figure it out. They have, by all accounts, lost that magic that they found last season, and it's showing on the field. Um, I think outside of that Arizona game, we've seen them struggle to score points against anybody, regardless of who it was. And even in an instance where the Giants were in the red zone, simple turnovers and just whether it be miscommunication, poor performance, a number of different reasons why this team has been able to get the ball into the end zone. I'm unsure if we'll see Barkley back for this game, but even if he did return, I don't see him being a factor in them being able to keep up with the Miami Dolphins for this game. Yes, it's a large spread. I have it at -11. However, I believe, the Dolphins are going to put up 30 plus points in this game. I'll be surprised if the Giants can put up 2 touchdowns in this game. So I'm definitely riding with the Dolphins as they go out and cover this big spread.
Yeah, you're absolutely right on that one. A team that scored 70 points can definitely cover a spread that's 11 points there, especially with a Giants team that can't score at all. But I just can't do it. I just can't bet a double digit. I've been burned so many times on betting double digit spreads. It doesn't matter how bad the underdog is and how good the favorite is. I always somehow get screwed, and I just PTSD of betting those type of spreads, and I can't do it no more. That's the only reason why I have to stay away from them. But um, if you made me, then yeah, I'd definitely be on the side of the Texans. I definitely obviously they're obviously capable of covering a spread like that. I just don't want to be there, and it's a fluke game where they don't do it. So that's why I still just stay away from those double digit spreads there. But for my second bet, I got uh, the Cardinals at home +3 versus the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, Joe Burrow is not healthy. Like he's been playing hurt all season. Yeah, he definitely and he looks it. I mean, his play shows how unhealthy he is because he's looked like. I mean, if you just go by the numbers, he's like the worst quarterback in the league. He's been playing really bad. But uh, I don't think they're going to sit him. And obviously, they're going to play him. and he's not going to get any healthier in this game. I mean, he's probably pretty much going to look the same as he's been looking. He has to sit, a little bit to try to heal. But if they're going to go out there and play him, he's pretty much going to look the same. The Cardinals fought hard in every single game they've been in. They obviously got the big upset against my Cowboys. And they kept it close last week against the Niners for a good portion of the game there. They put up 20 plus points in every game this season. Bengals have given up 24 plus points in three of their first four games. Bengals, horrible team against the spread, 0-4-1 in the last five. Let's see, 5-2 against the spread in the last 7 games. So looking good there. That's why I like the Cardinals getting the 3 points at home as home underdogs. I think this is a great position for them to get the outright win as well.
I definitely agree with you in this game. This was a matchup that I was looking at. A lot of it doing with, as you said, Burrow is not healthy. He looked horrible in the last game. You could tell he wasn't comfortable. You could tell that something was hindering him, and he just was not playing at anywhere close to 100%. And, as you said, the Cardinals have been fighting in every game. They've been close in every game. Against the spread so far this season, 3-1. So clearly they are staying within these games because if I'm not mistaken, the only game that had a unusually large spread was that Cowboys game, and they won it outright. So, I mean, that right there shows you that regardless of who the opponent has been, that, they're staying in these games. They're putting up points, for the most, 1-3 outright as far as wins and losses. But for a team like this, especially against the spread, they can be very dangerous, coming in with that, as I was mentioning earlier, that free mindset and, carefree, and just being able to go out there and play and not have to worry about winning or expectations. And I think we're seeing, that be a reason why they're definitely coming out on the right side of the spread when it's all said and done. Now, moving into my next game, going to the New England Patriots up against the New Orleans Saints. We were just talking about how bad this Saints team was. It's. I haven't heard any announcement that Derek Carr will be starting. Now, we saw him go out there last week. There's still a possibility that he'll go out there this week, but how much better is he is still up in the air because on injury reports, he's still listed as questionable. Looking at the New England Patriots, yes, they've struggled this season so far, even against the spread, only 1-3. But that one victory against the spread was an outright victory against the Jets where they covered the -2.5 as they were favorites in that game. But they're going up against the Saints, who have failed to cover a single spread this season so far. They are 0-3-1 against the spread. I see nothing about this team to lead me believe that they could win outright. And with the skinny spread, it's a 1-point spread. You might find it 1.5, 2 some places. But yeah, give me the Patriots to win outright. As I mentioned, their lone win against the spread this year was an outright win, which is basically what they're going to need to do here. And we've seen Belichick be able to scheme ways to give quarterbacks problems. And if you're not going out there 100% or potentially a backup going out there for a portion of the game, I definitely think Belichick is going to give this offense problems. I did hear, I believe it was earlier today or maybe yesterday, the Patriots traded for a cornerback from
Jackson.
From the Chargers.
They drafted him.
Yeah, I know that's the beauty. Tell me that's not the Patriots way. We're going to draft you. We're going to play you. We're going to like you. We're going to let you go somewhere else, sign for money there, go get your money, and then we're going to bring you back in a couple of years. Like, that is literally the Patriots way. And, of course, we see them bring yet another player back into the Patriots fold. So I do think it'll be interesting to see if they'll be able to bolster some of their issues in the secondary. As they lost Gonzalez, I believe his name. They lost
Mhm.
him for the year, I believe. Uh, but they'll also have Jackson under contract for a little bit, if I'm not mistaken. So that'll actually work in their favor, I think. But yes, I'm going to be backing the Patriots in this game, -1. Um, whether it's spread or money line, I see the Patriots winning this game outright.
Yeah, this was definitely in consideration. I do like a team that gets embarrassed and comes back, especially in a Bill Belichick's. I mean, he's probably hearing it all week. That was his worst loss in his career, so he's definitely going to want to make up for it going into this game. But I think those injuries.
And I was going to say, not to mention, Belichick's only 17 wins short of passing Don Shula for the all-time wins record as a head coach in the NFL. And not to say that he'll get it this season or even next season. It'll probably be, with the way that team's looking, maybe 3 years, if not a little more. But he's as far he's motivated. And to
Yeah,
add extra motivation, that's not something you want to do with Bill Belichick. Don't mess with that man. Let him be old and grumpy and not talk to reporters.
yeah, but definitely that's why I definitely have this in consideration of one of my bets. But I do think the defense is going to take a hit with the injuries to Gonzalez, like you said. But they didn't just lose him; they lost Matthew Judon as well. Those are the two best players on defense, and that's really going to be a major factor in this game against the Saints. Like I said, the Saints haven't been scoring many points, but if the Patriots have holes like this, maybe they can get something going for themselves. And just for the fact, I mean, just god awful. I mean, he looked terrible against the Cowboys last week. Um, obviously, because the Cowboys make a lot of these mediocre quarterbacks look pretty terrible. But my God, like he was really bad, and that's just it. Just when I just think back to the game, I just like I can't bet on that. I can't bet on that guy. I'm not putting my money on that guy, even if it is against the Saints. So that's what made me stay away from this game. Um, But I'll get into my third pick, and that is Eagles at Los Angeles Rams. I'm taking the Rams plus the points, 4.5. The Eagles are undefeated, I understand, but they haven't looked all that great in their wins. Um, 3 out of their 4 wins that they have, it was one score game, 6 points to the last. They just gave up 31 points to the Commanders. When it took overtime to win that game. Um, so they had some extra time, um, some extra playing time there, and added on to the fact, like I said earlier in the show, they have to go across the country to LA to play the Rams. Um, so that might be a factor there. Rams, I think one of the more press teams I've been impressed with their play because I didn't think they'd be that good as they're playing, and definitely Puka Nakua. Obviously, he looks pretty awesome. He's been playing great for them, and that's where I think they can exploit the Eagles. I think that's where the Eagles' weakness is in their secondary, and with the connection that Stafford has with Nakua, I definitely think they can take advantage of the Eagles there. The because I think the Commanders did as well with Sam Howell. I think that's where they got him, and they because the Eagles have the 26th ranked pass defense, so I definitely think that's their biggest weakness on their team. While the Rams have the fourth ranked passing offense, a lot to do with Puka Nakua. So that's where I think the Rams have the advantage here, and I think they can keep it close and cover that 4.5 point spread.
This is actually my fourth pick, and I'm riding on the opposite side against you. Now, yes, I do agree that the Rams, by all accounts, should be able to capitalize on the woes of the secondary of the Eagles. But I also, I mentioned that at the beginning of the episode. The Eagles are coming in with one of the best rushing attacks in the league, whether it be total rushing yard or rushing yards per game, rushing attempts per game. They are the number one team in the league. Um, total offense has not been lacking either, as they are the fifth total, coming in just under 400 yards a game. Um, I definitely think that this running game, because of its speed, and not to say it's a more spread like offense, but they do seem to not be afraid to not only utilize Hurts in the running game, but also to try and spread the defensive line and the that front seven out more laterally, taking utilizing their speed and their advantage trying to get to the edge. So I think some of those factors uh, will minimize the effect Aaron Donald will have in this game. Yes, I do not expect Aaron Donald to be completely neutralized, because I'm not sure there's a team or a force out there that could do that. But you know, it's a simple game when you're talking about one person. Where is he? Okay, go the opposite direction. You know, it doesn't matter where Aaron Donald is if the play is going away from him. Now, of course, you're not going to call every single play that way, but it does allow uh, a little more leniency when you just have that singular player, especially in a unit like defensive line. Um, so I do think that the Eagles will be able to continue with their rushing attack. Um, and I think that'll have a big factor in this game, because if the Rams can't keep up with the pass game as they have the past couple of weeks, I don't know where any production is going to come from this team, because I mean, for years now, the running back situation for the Rams has been a mess. We just saw them ship out Cam Akers to Minnesota, I believe. Um, you know, it's been clear in the past they want to rely on the pass game, rely on that high volume. Um, from what I've seen, Cooper Cup hasn't been activated yet, so I'd be highly shocked that he would be back for this game. So that's another reason I would definitely lean more to the Eagles covering the spread, which I thought was a little bit low for this game. I believe the spread was minus 4.5. Um, I'm just I'm not sure I can back the Rams even getting those points. So yeah, I'm gonna be going with the Eagles minus 4.5.
All right. Disagreement there. Um, all right, I get to my fourth bet, and I'm gonna take my Dallas Cowboys plus 3.5 at the San Francisco 49ers. And before y'all call me a homer, I don't. I guess I always say I am not biased when it comes to my money. I didn't pick them when everybody was in love with us going against the Cardinals game, and all the money was on on the Cowboys versus the Cardinals, even with the big spread. I did not pick us. I didn't. I know the history between the Cowboys and Cardinals. And that's why I was like, no, that's not where you win money here. And I'm about winning money, and I definitely think it's an opportunity to win money, even though this, yeah, it is my favorite team. But I definitely think the Cowboys. I really do believe the Cowboys have a definitely chance to win this game. Cowboys been extremely dominant in all three of their wins. Um, if if the Cowboys can stop McCaffrey, and yeah, it's a big task. But we did it in the playoff game. He did not do very much in that playoffs game against us. He had 35 yards rushing, 22 yards receiving. So friends, I believe that our defense is good enough to hold them. We held them under 20 points against them last time. That's not the problem I see for the Cowboys. Problem is it's been the problem all season. It's scoring the red zone. If we can do that, then I think we definitely can win this game. I don't think it's be a problem to win this game. I don't fear it because we've shown the ability to go up and down the field. Even in the loss against the Cardinals, we were able to go up and down the field on the Cardinals. On all the teams that we played, we were able to move the ball at will. If the problem was actually put it in the end zone. But even at that, even if we don't always score in the red zone, I still believe, even if we're just scoring field goals, that we can win this game because I think we can hold them. Like I'm that confident on our defense that we can hold the 49ers offense. As long as we just keep scoring every single time, I think we'll score enough to edge them out this time. And it's just the revenge factor. I believe just getting our getting beat by them the last 2 years. That's really got to piss us off. I think we're going to be absolutely ready for this game. We're going to put all the effort we can to win this game because I just believe the Cowboys just tired of getting bullied by the Niners, and they're really just trying to make a statement, show that we can actually beat this team. And I think that's a big factor in this game. Yeah, it's on the road, but I just think the Cowboys are just so ready, just been so marking on the calendar, ready for this game. This is the game that they want, and I think they do. I think they finally get the win over the Niners here.
Yeah, looking at this matchup, I definitely think it will be a close matchup. I mean, clearly we're talking about two of the better teams in the league currently. Both come in, doing the exact same against the spread, 3-1 respectfully. Both teams have been able to bag a couple wins at home and also get at least one victory on the road. I don't know. This is definitely a game that it could go either way. I mean, there's you can point and look towards stats and a few different things for each team as far as making an argument for them to win. Whether you're talking about Cowboys taking and getting the points, or potentially the 49ers covering that spread at -3.5. Something I found interesting, that total at that at 45. I think this is definitely a game where that under could be a possibility because we're talking about basically the two most runningest teams in the league right now. You know, coming in, Dallas is third in rushing attempts per game. Um, Let me see what San Fran is at. Yeah, San Fran is currently 10th, or no, excuse me, wrong side. Uh, Fifth. And so, I think we see the run game be a heavy factor in this game. Obviously, Kyle Shanahan and the coaching staff of the 49ers is going to try and limit how much Purdy has to take on the passing defense of the Cowboys and try and limit some of that pass rush that we've seen. And so, yeah, I definitely think it will, if the Cowboys want to win this game, it will come down to a few factors like being able to stop McCaffrey in the run game and make that offense more one-dimensional. Because if they can do that, I do think that there's a stronger likelihood that they can win the game outright for the Cowboys, even if Kittle or Samuel go out there and have a good game. You eliminate that run game for the 49ers. You get that ball control. As you said, the Cowboys have struggled more so to put up points in the red zone and less about moving the ball downfield. So I definitely think you can make an argument for both teams to possibly win this game outright. Like I said, I think the under 45 might be a real way to go in this game just based off the potential. Short of, us seeing a couple 30, 40-yard runs broken off, we're going to see some chunks of time come off the clock whether points get put up or not. All right. Now to slide into my last play for this week, rocking the cap for the team, going to Baltimore Ravens as they take on the Pittsburgh Steelers in a divisional matchup. Now, we will not see Kenny Pickett out there for this game, meaning Mitchell Trubisky will be suiting up to go up against the Ravens, who defensively have not played the greatest. However, they have been able to limit teams for the most part. Even in their two losses, they didn't give up more than 24 points. And on the flip side of that, we've seen them be able to hold multiple teams to a sub 10-point performance. Coming into this game, the Steelers were obviously struggling on offense, whether it was running the ball, passing the ball, and I think we see those struggles continue I'm not big on Trubisky to be able to come in as some sort of savior and turn something around. I do agree that the offensive issues may lie more in the OC Matt Canada than necessarily some of the talent that we've seen on the field. Um, but going up against this Baltimore Ravens team, another team that has been very successful so far this season in the run game, even as they face some injuries in the backfield at the running back position, we've still seen Lamar Jackson be the threat that he's been in the running game. And I think we see that continue, and the Ravens win this game outright because whether it's defensive or offensive, there is not much about this Steelers team that is looking good currently at the moment. And to be able to get the Ravens at -4, I think is a bit of a steal. Yes, it's a division game, so maybe that's a reason why we're not seeing a bit of a larger spread. But I'm surprised that this spread isn't closer to maybe the 7 range, maybe 7.5, somewhere around there. So to be able to get the Ravens at -4 going up against this Steelers team, I'm definitely going to be backing the Ravens in this matchup.
These Ravens Steelers games always scare me. I have no idea which way to go in them. Even when like one side is bad and the other side is good, it's still tough. Like it really goes either way on some of the like. Even though the Steelers are clearly worse than the Ravens, that doesn't mean that they can't get a win here. Just fluky stuff that kind of happens in these Steelers Ravens games. And then just I don't know. Like I said, I kind of stay away from betting the Ravens because I just know I'm not sure what I'm getting. It's a lot of injuries. Is that going to be the team that lost to the Colts in overtime, or is it going to be that dominant win over the Browns? Which team? Like I'm not really sure, and that's like I never put my money on question mark, and that's why I kind of stay away from betting the Ravens a lot of the time because sometimes it just is what it is, and that's why I can go with you on that one. But for my final bet of the week, I gotta go with Kansas City Chiefs at the Vikings. Vikings are getting +4, and I'm gonna take the points with the Vikings. I picked the Vikings last week. I'm gonna keep rolling dice on them. Um, Obviously they finally got the first win. I think I think they would have a better record if they can hold on to the goddamn ball. Like that has been their problem. They just turn over the ball like crazy. Um, I think they could have got some of those close games that they had if they were able to take the better care of the ball. So if they can do that, I definitely do think they can go toe to toe with the Chiefs, who we saw on Sunday night. They struggled against a Jets team that can't really score with Zach Wilson. Um, and the Chiefs, especially Patrick Mahomes, struggled. Like he was throwing 2 picks out there. He didn't look very good. Um, and that those struggles kind of um, are in part because of the weapons that they have. They just don't have a lot of firepower in the receiving, and obviously he still has Kelsey, but just with his receiving core, it's just I think that's why he's having a lot of different issues there, and that's why he may throw a couple picks, trying to make something happen. Maybe not a lot of lack of getting open there. I think that can be a problem going in this game, going to the Vikings. I think Kirk Cousins and his offense can, I think they've shown that they can put up points and they can keep pace with a Chiefs team that's kind of up and down with their offense. So if they can at least keep pace with them, I definitely think they can get cover that 4 point spread, especially getting the momentum off, finally getting their first win. I think they can build off of it and keep like I said, keep rolling against the Chiefs.
This was one game that I looked at, and I do agree with you as far as backing the Vikings in this game because my hesitance did center around, what we've seen out of KC so far this season. They have not been the same Kansas City Chiefs teams that we've seen the past couple of years. Um, and yes, a lot of that I do believe is due to the wide receiver core and the lack of run game that we're seeing in Kansas City right now. Uh, I think for Mahomes, there's a lot to be said about consistency and knowing where players will be on the field and when they'll be there. And I think, you know, with the way Kansas City runs their offense, that's more that's more needed than necessarily somebody that's fast or somebody this big can go up and high point a football and potentially out jump the defender. Uh, and when you don't have that, it throws things out of wax. And you can take you can take a Ferrari. You throw one little tiny tool in that engine, I promise you that thing ain't moving, ain't going nowhere. It's kaput. So, you know, it doesn't take much to throw off some of these offenses. And while we've seen Kansas City go out and win, and yes, they could potentially. I would not be shocked to see this game be won by a field goal for the Kansas City Chiefs, but that would still cover for the Minnesota Vikings in this game. And like I said, a big reason why I stayed off this game was because of my fears about Kansas City. So being able to get those 4 points and cover a potential field goal, if I was to be on this game, I'd be back in the Vikings right there with you.
All right. That is our bets of week 5. Hopefully that helped you guys out. Hopefully you guys win some money, whether you go with us or you fade us. Either way, whatever works for you, as long as you're winning money, that is the goal of the show. And that will be our show. So you can tell the people where they can find you, DWeezy.
Yes, y'all can reach me at Backyard Action Media here on YouTube and also on Twitter at The Yard Bets.
You can find me at NFL12 on Instagram and Twitter/X. And you can find me on this channel on Fridays at 3 o'clock, doing Good Friends, Battle Rifles, talking Cowboys, Giants with my co-host, Ferris McDonough. Yeah, good week for Cowboys, bad week for the Giants. So you're gonna want to tune in to watch that. And also, we're gonna be here every week. We're gonna be here every week making you guys money throughout the football season. So lots of opportunities to bet on football because that's what we do here. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Appreciate for everybody who tuned in this week and all the weeks to come. And like I always say, let's get ready to make that money.